My name is Mike, and this is the Hot Seat. On the Hot Seat today, well, a couple of days ago, a fellow YouTuber wrote to me and said, Mike, instead of just talking about what's wrong with the country, what would you do to fix it? Now, that's very important. So today, I'm going to take my shot at, if I was president, what would I do to change the current status of this country? And I'm using a teleprompter for the first time, so please bear with me. On the economy, I would repeal NAFTA and the free trade agreement with China immediately. I would do this because we need to make it easier to do work in the United States and harder abroad. We need to deregulate business, but still have checks and balances, health standards to restaurants, etc. You get the idea. Business owners today have it way too tough to manufacture and to produce in this country. And we need to give these corporations time. We need to give them opportunity. Basically, we need to give them an offer they can't refuse and make them work and make them produce and hire in this country. I would sign an executive order immediately to drop the gas prices and stop speculation of oil on the commodities market. And I probably would get shot for it. Tax breaks to corporations to hire people and put them on an on-the-job training program, not a community college program. Companies can pay workers minimum wage during the on-the-job training program. Then, should they meet the job requirements in total, pay them what the job is worth. I think that's where we have to start there, folks. There's roughly at least 5 to 10 million jobs that have been sitting in limbo because companies can't find people with those job requirements. Personally, I think companies are just making them too tough so they don't have to hire. That has to end. Instead of the overbearing small business regulations, require licenses in particular fields of business. Make sure simple standards such as safety and cleanliness codes. Require all services paid electronically over $100 to prevent tax fraud by small business owners who pocket cash under the table. Require yearly audits should companies not provide health coverage due to lack of funds. I have seen too much fraud by small business owners. Privatize the penal system. Sell the prisons off to private entrepreneurs. If the owners want to give convicts HBO, state-of-the-art gyms, etc., they can pay for it. Owners can make money by putting prisoners to work in manufacturing, laundry, etc., and have contracts with Walmart and other companies. Matter of fact, I think it would be a good idea for these entrepreneurs to pay the prisoners. After all, slavery was abolished in 1865. I say these owners of the penal system should be required to pay at least half of the minimum wage, which I believe in this country it's about $8.25. Someone serving a 10-year term, well, hey, after taxes, he could have an account worth $35,000. It's a decent amount of money to start a new life. There are many Americans that don't have a tenth of that in their bank accounts. Drill oil and natural gas domestically and begin breaking away from OPEC. This, of course, includes the Keystone Pipeline. It is in America's best interest to explore the Keystone Pipeline to its fullest extent and to get it online as soon as possible with the least amount of environmental risk. Now on to foreign policy. Immediate withdrawal from Afghanistan and Iraq. Further withdrawal from the Middle East theater, as this has been a 64-year failure. Allow Israel to conduct their affairs as they see it. There never will be peace in the Middle East. That is a lost cause. Close bases in the Middle East. Open up new ones in the U.S. and Europe. Cut off foreign aid to non-democratic countries and not impose our will to nation building. On the energy crisis. Again, drill domestically, oil, natural gas, etc. Green energy. Privatize green energy. Let companies do it themselves. End regulations and make permit acquisitions easier. Patents and copyrights also. Ben Franklin did not get government grants for discovering electricity. Thomas Edison did not get subsidies for inventing the light bulb. Henry Ford did not get subsidies for creating the Model T. Harry Frazee did not get a government bailout when his Broadway show collapsed. He sold Babe Ruth. On to healthcare, tort reform, and frivolous lawsuits to lower malpractice insurance. Folks, part of the reason why we spend so much for what we spend on healthcare is because doctors are getting creamed with malpractice insurance. It is just easier to settle a frivolous lawsuit than to fight for your rights as a doctor. As stated above, investigate and prosecute business fraud and tax cheats who say they can't afford to give health care to their workers, but can vacation 6 months of the year in Florida. I don't think so. Adopt Arizona SB 1070 on the federal level. Legally investigate and deport illegal immigrants. Part of the health care cost, a heavy burden of it, in fact, is treating illegal immigrants for free. Arizona has already had positive results with their SB 1070 law. There's been a sharp reduction in illegal aliens flooding emergency rooms receiving free health care. Less cost to hospitals is the less cost to the consumer. Again, require all business owners to provide health coverage for all workers over 20 hours, unless proven by federal audit that the business cannot sustain the cost. Border control, as stated above. Adopt a federal SB 1070 immigration law like Arizona. U.S. Army removed from the Middle East and patrols the U.S. border along with the National Guard. Civil liberties. End random TSA pat-downs on obvious non-terrorists, such as children in wheelchairs and old ladies dying of cancer. End DUI checkpoints nationwide. Law enforcement has no right to stop citizens on the road without provocation. Further, an officer asking if someone has been drinking is asking them if they committed a crime, thus making the person waive their Fifth Amendment rights. Immediate repeal of the Patriot Act and NDAA. These are violations of the Fourth and Sixth Amendments. Taxation. Repeal the 16th Amendment, as there has been overwhelming evidence that the amendment was not legally ratified. Wages are not gains or profits. They are an exchange of payment for labor. Dismantle the Federal Reserve immediately. The government should control currency, not international bankers. And folks, for a real detailed synopsis on that part, please go to Google and type in From Freedom to Fascism, a wonderful movie by Aaron Russo. I recommend everyone to watch this. You just don't have to live in America because the entire world is affected by this. Repeal the inheritance tax. I am not a fan of double taxation. This tax is illegal in the sense that assets are being transferred to another name. Nothing is being bought or sold for profit. It is a birthright for one person to transfer his or her belongings to another, especially when it's a family member. The inheritance tax is just another way for the government to steal from the American people. Campaign reform. No more raising money for presidential campaigns. No more PACs. With 24-hour news and the internet, there is no reason to have to raise money to be heard. And what are they really doing with these ads? All they're doing is bashing their opponents. They're not using these PAC money for constructive purposes. They're just bashing their opponents. Elections, especially for the presidency, has become whoever has the most money tends to be the winner. That's not what America is supposed to be. There should be at least one debate in every state for the candidates to face off. Candidates can appear in 24-hour news shows to be heard. Also, I would hope this would encourage people to do the research on their own so they can see who the candidates really are. Also, folks, I know I haven't covered everything. This was my best shot at it. I'm sure a lot of you will pick it apart. Please enjoy yourselves. My name is Mike. This is The Hot Seat.